Nigeria is one of a handful of, well, not a handful, but Nigeria is one of 20 odd countries in Africa that has an online investor's guide. This online investor's guide was designed by the International Chamber of Commerce, but the rollout across the world has been done with the support of UNCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, and the Economic Commission of Africa supported them in relation to Africa. But it is not only countries in Africa that have an iGuide, but Nigeria is one of circa 20 countries in Africa that have this online guide. And what NIPC did previously, like many countries do, was to print investors' guides. The problem with printed investors' guides is that the day you print them, they already become stale because information changes without frequency. Now, an online investor's guide gives you the flexibility to update and to upgrade, to add new sections without, compromising anything. So that online investor's guide provides up-to-date information for investors. The object is not really to tell you every single thing you need to know, but it covers the basics. The information that investors need to take an investment decision on Nigeria without necessarily having to come to Nigeria. A feature of the technology that was used to design it is such that it is available in over 100 languages. And a number of you may have been at the launch of the iGuide when we had it in May 2018. But it tells you about starting a business, about labor costs, about the cost of certain basic things that investors may be interested in knowing in Nigeria, about how land matters work, about how taxes work, about the rights of investors and the like. I said at the launch of this iGuide in May 2018, I believe it was the 17th of May 2018, I said then that even though I had worked in banking for over 20 years, in the course of putting together this iGuide, I found many things about the investment space in Nigeria that I had previously not been aware of. So I find it incredibly useful, and I urge all of you to use it if you want to, as a reference for getting information related to how to do things in Nigeria. In the context of promoting investments, we're very particular that we get more Nigerians to invest in their own country. But we know, like all countries, that it is also important to get foreign investors to invest in the country. Even the biggest countries, the most developed countries in the world, are primed to attract investors. As big as they are, as much as they invest out, they also still look for people to invest in their own country. So we think as well as Nigeria that we should proactively promote foreign investment, as we should promote domestic direct investment. But before we can properly ensure that we are, to use the English expression, fishing where the ducks are, we thought it was important to look at the agreements that Nigeria has signed. These agreements don't necessarily guarantee that you get investments from those countries, but they give investors from those countries some comfort. The agreements are also important in that they can determine sometimes the kind of investors that look at your country, because they talk about the rights that investors have. And we think it is important for investors to have rights. But we also think it is important for investors to have obligations. Because they say power, without control. All of us know what happens when somebody has power and there's no control. They are just looking for trouble. So at NIPC, we came up with 20 parameters, 20 features that we thought were important for a modern agreement that is aimed at achieving Nigeria's sustainable development goals. Agreements that, parameters that ensure that when we promote investments, that they're responsible, that they're inclusive, and that they are the sort of long-term investments that we want. So we've looked at 21 out of the 29 bilateral investment treaties that Nigeria has signed. 21 out of the 29. What we found from that review, we thought was important to first subject to some validation. Validation by members of Nigeria's International Investments Agreement team, but also validation by people who know these things much better than we do. So we reached out to UNCTAD, we reached out to World Bank for support with validation. That validation process is now complete. And the next stage for us is that on a country-by-country basis, we decide for Agreement A. So from A to U, the country names that were disguised simply because the process has not yet been completed. But for country A, this is what we should do with the agreement. For country B, this is what we should do with the agreement. We're going through that process now. And only when that process is complete will we then sit down with senior people in government to get their approval to go to that next stage. But what we found from the review of the agreement is what we share with you here. That 17 out of the 21 agreements, so 81% of the agreements, scored less than 10 over 20. In our view, those agreements generally need to be renegotiated because as they are, they give investors, they don't sufficiently protect Nigeria's interests. So they give investors rights, but they don't necessarily tie any obligations to those rights. One of the agreements scored 10 over 20, and 3 of them scored more than 14 over 20. 2 of those agreements that we believe are in a position where ratification should happen, and I'm sure as members of the press, you're aware that Nigeria has signed many agreements that have not necessarily been ratified. So 2 of those agreements, I'm aware, are now at an advanced stage of being ratified. But the object is that when we finish with this exercise and we renegotiate the agreements, then we can push for the ratification of the agreements. And the renegotiation of the agreements we intend to do on the basis of a 2016 new model bilateral investment treaty that Nigeria has and that NIPC led in putting together. So I've mentioned that we are interested in attracting direct investors, whether they're domestic or they're foreign. Last year, from the 21st to the 23rd of May, we held the inaugural summit organized by NIPC to bring direct investors from different countries to one location to see investment opportunities from different parts of Nigeria. If we exclude Nigeria, I would say 13 countries were represented, at that event. But because we're interested in Nigerian investors, we saw Nigeria also as a participating country. So we had 14 countries participating in that event. There were over 500 delegates. We had more than 190 direct investors. And 5 expressions of interest were discussed. Not all of them were signed, but 5. Q1 2019 should be published hopefully this week, because we're just at the last stages of finalizing it. We also published a report of capital inflows. All these reports are available on NIPC's website.